Welcome to Dateline Health. This is Fred Lippman coming to you from Nova Southeastern University. And today we have a really wonderful, what I would call unusual show for you. Because, you know, about 3 years ago we had a show on about pet therapy and how dogs or animals are used for stroke and accident victims and the elderly. And I just thought it was time again, because we had some letters about how can they help people get these kinds of dogs. We have a lot of folks, I guess you've been watching the Today Show, which had a big thing on pet therapy dogs. So we've got experts sitting right in front of me. First, let me introduce Marnie Bellavia. Is that right?
Bellavia.
Bellavia, like my next door neighbor. Marnie Bellavia. What a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Right. A beautiful life.
Thank you, yes.
That's right. Marnie Bellavia is the Education Partnership Coordinator and a pet therapist for the Humane Society of Broward County. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization here in Broward County, and many of you I know are supporters. Marnie, welcome.
Thank you.
And who do we have?
Thank you for having us. This is Oliver.
Right.
Can you pick your head up and say hello? Oliver is a 10-year-old Shih Tzu.
Right.
And he's been doing pet therapy since he's about a year old.
Isn't that wonderful?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me introduce Greg. I'll call you Greg. You know, Gregory W.
Greg.
But we'll call you Greg Milford. Greg, I know, is a banker in our community. And he's a certified pet therapist, also with Humane Society of Broward County. But you are what we call a pet therapist volunteer, correct?
That's correct. I'm part of a team, and my teammate is Tristan, an 8-year-old Labrador Retriever,
right,
who has been he's been doing pet therapy for about 6 years.
Well, let's try to tell the folks, because again they've seen this, and we've gotten a lot of mail about this. And tell me, first of all, how did you step forward and become and you're, by the way, you both own these dogs, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right, even though you work out of a team from the Humane Society of Broward County.
That's
Go ahead.
We were kind of putting thoughts together as to when we started thinking about this, and it probably coincides a little bit with 9/11 and some of the media of the dogs that were visiting the workers in the area. And it really kind of hit home, and we had at that time a golden retriever who would have made we thought a great pet therapy pet, and he brought so much joy into our life. We thought maybe it'd be fun and bring joy into people who might not have as good a situation as we had. So we thought we'd go out and start visiting.
No, and how were you recruited into the Humane Society team?
Well, I contacted Marnie, and at that time our dog had already had basic training, basic obedience training, but there's additional levels that go on that you've got to have, and I contacted Marnie. You know, Marnie had given me additional information that I needed to do, and then also set up some additional training for us, and then brought Tristan and Champ, our other dog, through training through the therapy program.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Marnie, tell us about the pet therapy program at the Humane Society, because I know you're the coordinator, and tell us how this all happens.
Well, our program, bar none, is the best. We have established about 20 years worth of visiting in the pet therapy program. The volunteers that volunteer with us all have their own dogs, and they're all certified through the Humane Society. They go to nursing homes, hospitals, schools, rehabilitation centers, psychiatric hospitals, and they work with their dogs, with the different patients and the different clients that are in those areas. The volunteers themselves, when they come through our program, they first come to a volunteer orientation so they can learn about the Humane Society, why we're there, what we do, what opportunities are available, and then they come through a pet therapy orientation where they get to know everything about the pet therapy program and what they're getting themselves into, because as Greg mentioned, there's a lot of training involved. You know, you could have a great dog at home, a great companion dog at home, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're qualified to be a pet therapy dog. So there's a lot of training that's involved. They have to have their basic obedience. And then they go through pet therapy training depending on where they're going. So for example, like Greg had mentioned, going into the hospital, we actually work to desensitize them to hospital equipment so that they're not stepping on IVs, they're not stepping on catheter lines, they're not bumping into equipment, they can move nicely in that type of environment and those surroundings. And we also want to make sure, first and foremost, that the dog has the right temperament, because the temperament's the most important. Any dog can learn an obedience command, sit, stay, come, but the dog has to have a well-rounded temperament in order to be part of the program. No aggression, no fear. Obviously, you can see these dogs are not the least bit stressed, very comfortable in whatever environment they're placed in.
Well, and let's see. Now we're going to tell everybody, obviously, the Humane Society of Broward is located on Griffin Road.
2070 Griffin Road.
Right, which is just west of I-95 on the south side of the street. It's got beautiful buildings that are now, and now you're going to go through another expansion, but there are wonderful dogs that are there. These both are rescued dogs, aren't they?
Correct.
Yes,
both of them. So explain what I mean by rescued.
A rescue dog is a dog that is surrendered by its owner for the most part, unless it's a stray,
Right.
and it's brought to a shelter, an animal shelter, and it's
Right.
placed for adoption,
Right.
like
So-
Oliver was.
So both of these dogs have been adopted by both of you.
Correct.
Okay. And Greg, let me ask you, I mean, obviously, firstly, let me thank you on behalf of all these people out here, because, you know, Marnie's got her task and her love at the Humane Society, but she's tasked doing what she's doing through the Education Partnership and being the coordinator, actually, as an employee. But you are just like the folks out here, like hopefully me, that would want to do something special. And you've rescued this dog along with your dog and had them trained. Tell me what your average day of using your pet therapy dog is like, or afternoon or morning.
Well, we are a regular volunteer at Coral Springs Medical Center in Coral Springs, and we visit the pediatric floor there. So we get there probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which kind of is getting right around dinner time. So that can, that's a pretty good time anyway for the kids. But we get there about that time and then visit room to room with the kids who are there. And in some cases, some of the kids, some of the nurses may want some of the kids to get a little bit of activity, and they'll have them get up and walk the dogs around the halls and things like that to get them moving. Sometimes they need a little motivation to get up out of bed, and these guys provide it. And some of the kids just, want company and want somebody to come visit with them and talk to them and take their mind off of what it is that they're going through, or just being sick.
Their pain and I mean, of course, Coral Springs Hospital, particularly the pediatric area, is really one of the stars in our community. It's a wonderful facility. But no matter what it is, it's not home.
Right.
It's not where mom and daddy sleep. It's not where my sister and brother are, etc. So it's pretty intense. And what, Marnie, what do you do with our little Oliver here?
Oliver used to go into hospitals as well. We go into schools. We go into elementary schools with him. We teach the kids about bite prevention programs, about being safe around dogs, how to approach a dog, how to meet a dog safely. If you own a dog, what you need to do to care for your dog and keep your dog happy and healthy. So Oliver is our education spokesperson.
Okay. My understanding is also, and I don't know whether you do this with Oliver, but I understand that your program also does reading programs as well. Is that true?
That is our program, yes. It's called Wags and Tails.
All right, tell me about it.
Our Wags and Tails program is just a fascinating program. We have a couple of schools in Broward County that we go to, and we have 15 libraries across Broward County that we visit. Each has their own volunteer team and dog, and the purpose behind the program is to motivate the child to read. And they have one-on-one reading time with the volunteer and the dog. So basically, the kids sit down on the floor next to the dog, and they open up the book and they read to the dog, because the dog is non-judgmental. The dog is not going to laugh if they are reading at the wrong level, if they wear glasses, if they stutter, if they make a mistake. The dog is just there, like Greg had mentioned before, for motivation, and it helps to build their confidence. And it's an amazing program to see. In the schools, the statistics reported back were that absenteeism dropped because the kids knew that they were coming and the dogs were coming, so they wanted to come to school, and that their reading levels had increased, their FCAT scores increased. In the libraries, it's fabulous because the parents they come back and say the kids are going home and they're reading to their dogs at home, their turtles, their stuffed animals. They want to read because they feel that it's positive, because they're getting positive motivation from the dog in a safe, secure environment. No, and they're having fun, which is the best part about it. They're just having a great time.
I think the significant thing, and again, I think that really transcends both of what you both do, and that is that the dogs are non-judgmental. The dogs that you use, your Tristan and other dogs that visit, for example, the pediatric center at Coral Springs, they don't offer judgment as to whether the child is, deathly ill or the child is in pain or otherwise. They show the same kind of concern and love for the child that's ready to go home as is to the child who's really very, very sick. Is that true, Greg?
That's correct.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Right, and also, like I said, with this reading program, I really am fascinated by the reading program because I think reading in itself, and we're very involved with that here. We have readers that go from our university school, which is a K-12 school on the campus of it's part of Nova Southeastern University, and we have a number of other students from our undergraduate school that act as mentors or readers that walk into a class, and they do the same thing. They're not as cute as Oliver is, although some of them are very good looking and otherwise, but it's really very important for the children. I mean, that, as you say, that sometimes are stigmatized by the fact that they might have a speech impediment or a stutter, or they have they look a little different or whatever. And these animals, these beautiful, wonderful animals, they're not judgmental at all. And I think that's the most important thing. Let's again talk about if I wanted to be involved with pet therapy, what do I do? What do these folks out here do? And I mean, is it age responsible? Tell me what they have to do.
There are a couple of things. The first thing would be that they would have to be over 18 years of age.
Right.
They would contact the Humane Society.
I guarantee you, I apologize, I guarantee you, most of my listeners are over age 18.
Okay, good, perfect.
Good, let's go.
So we should get a lot of new volunteers.
That's right.
They would contact the Humane Society of Broward County.
Right.
And we would then go ahead and have them come to our volunteer orientation. Right. They want to have a dog, as far as the dog is concerned, right, they need to have a dog that's at least 1 year old. That's the requirement. The dog has to be spayed or neutered. Right. Needs to know its basic obedience commands: sit, stay, come, lay down. They have to be good around distractions and have a suitable temperament. No, they can't be fearful, anxious, aggressive. Pretty, laid back and happy kind of dogs. And then we put them through training. We take them through a class, and then we put the volunteer and the dog through the training. And like I mentioned before, depending on where they're going to volunteer, depends on what type of training they get. So the training for the reading program will be different than the training to work in a hospital, and different than the training to work in a nursing home.
Are there pet therapy dogs, and then there's a lot of folks that have called and written to us, are involved with some senior clubs at condominium associations, or we've had people that called us from different area agency funded entities, Southeast Focal Point Center in Pembroke Pines.
We work there.
Do you?
We
Okay, I'm going to
volunteer
ask
there.
you about that. And you know, like there's a major feeding program, for example, at Posnack JCC, and we've had questions there too about, you know, therapy dogs. So tell me, you work at the Southeast Focal Point Center, which was the first focal point center in the state, and is in the Pembroke Pines jurisdiction. Tell me what you do there.
The volunteers that go out to the nursing homes, they bring their dogs and they do meet and greet activities. So a lot of them want this. They want a dog that's just going to hang out with them, that they can cuddle, that they can hug, that they can pet, that they can interact with, and just be around. Because a lot of these people have had to give up their pet ownership. So having an animal come to visit them, for the most part, is, you know, a very special treat. He's snoring. He's
It's all right.
asleep.
No, it's all right. I've got one at home just like it, and the wonderful thing about their little pug nose, folks, in case you wonder, you hear snoring. It's not me. I didn't fall asleep. You know, just that's what happens. It's the breed. It's the way their nose is constructed. They snore.
Exactly. He snores.
Yeah.
But we find that the visits to these folks are very memorable, and for a lot of them, they go back and they think about when they own their pets, and they talk about their relationship with the pets that they've owned, and how happy they are that a pet is coming to visit them because they had to give up their pet ownership. So it's a wonderful program to have. And if there are facilities that are interested in having their organization become part of the program is free of charge.
Yes.
Our volunteers, like Greg, give, you know, of their time just on a volunteer basis.
And who do they call?
They would contact the Humane Society at 954-266-6814, which is our volunteer services department.
Right.
And if they want to volunteer, that's who they would contact. And if it's a facility that wants to be part of our program, then they would contact me.
Okay.
At 954-266-6853.
There you go. We're going to put that up on the screen. Let's repeat it one more time. Your number.
954.
Right.
266.
Right.
6853.
Right. And those are different organizations that would want to, you know, need your services. Right?
Correct.
Right. Okay, because that's really where we've gotten these letters from, and that's why I have you here today. Greg, let's get back to you. You're a banker, and you're a hard worker in the community. I would assume you live up near the Coral Springs area, I would assume.
A little east of there, Pompano Beach.
Pompano Beach, all right. So, and you, like I said, you were I guess, you made a value judgment after September 11th to do something based upon the work that you saw that occurred with these wonderful dogs that were attached to the first responders, correct?
That's correct.
Right, and then of course you both rescued these dogs, right? And that, I don't want to go past that either, because folks, you know that there are so many ways to adopt, in quotes, rescue. You might want to think adoption as just, you know, going out and going through this whole bureaucratic service that you have to go through, or questioning and otherwise, but they're trying to match you up with your personality, with your environment, with your abilities to own a pet, and to see that you get the right placement of a rescued dog. Is that correct?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Can I offer you a job?
No, no. Well, I'm a big fan of the
And we
Humane
appreciate your
Society of
support.
Broward County. But tell me, Greg, you know what? You know, I would assume. Do you work with this dog? In quotes, work. To me, it's a pleasure. But do you work with this dog alone, or do you work with your family, or otherwise?
Well, my wife and I.
Right.
There's training that occurs every day, and you know, for a few minutes here and there, just doing things that he's going to need to know when he's out at a visit. And you know, it's a never-ending process. They're always willing to learn. You can teach old dogs new tricks, and Tristan here is certainly an example of that.
How old is Tristan?
Tristan's 8.
8.
8 years old. Yeah. So it's a you know, for us, it's something that we do around our family in training and having fun. I mean, training doesn't have to be you know, a hard thing for the dogs. They actually love it. It's fun for them. So.
You know, it's really very interesting. And again, I know, folks, that this is really far away from what we usually talk about on Dateline Health. We're not talking about high blood pressure or cancer or things of that nature, but you're all involved with a lot of the victims of these various morbidities. So, but the reason that I'm so interested in this is because there's so much information today relative to what people would call alternative and complementary medicine. And there's a lot of CDC has done a lot of work on things like massage, meditation, a lot of things that are involved now and used in very sophisticated environments. I mean, one of my alma mater's major medical facility, Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, uses meditation and touch massage for their major cardiac vascular surgical procedures before and after. You know, they do a lot of that. Now, again, I'm not a, you know, I don't offer any scientific relationship to it, but what I'm saying is it's very clear that pet therapy is another value that I believe is really an element of alternative and complementary medicine, because they offer, these two wonderful little guys, little guy, big guy, offer that feeling to a person who has a lot of pain and is lonely, whereas the child also is confused and is being poked at, and I mean, not in an ugly way, but you know, needles and things of that nature. Don't you feel it is really a form of, in quotes, almost alternative medical therapy in a sentence?
Absolutely.
Do you feel that way sometimes?
Definitely, and there is actual scientific data that goes back to show that animals reduce blood pressure, they lower cholesterol levels, they aid in recovery. Somebody that is that has an animal is more likely to recover more quickly than somebody who doesn't, because of the dependency on taking care of that animal.
You know, I'm never supposed to move because my camera people are going to say, "This is, you can't do this." But I'm going to just see whether oh, come over here, little boy. Come here, little boy. Come here. Hey, guy. How are you?
He could come all the way over to you.
No, it's all right. Hey, little boy. How are you? He's just like one of my guys. Yeah. Will he come?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. That's it. Okay. That's nice boy. Oh, see, Tristan wants to do that, huh? You see it?
Everybody wants in on the action.
It's all right. Well, folks, this is what it's all about. You could do yourself a favor. You could do yourself a favor by joining Marnie Bellavia, Beautiful Life. That's what it means. To help the Education Partnership at the Humane Society at Broward County. And you can help wonderful people like Greg. And I've never met your wife, so she's got to be wonderful too. That allow for the animals to want to help some of the folks that are out here. And they've asked me so many times, how do we get people to be able to use these wonderful pet therapy dogs? And I'm so glad to know that they can be calling you.
Absolutely.
And that, because like I said, we happen to provide a lot of services at the Southeast Focal Point Center. Come here, sweetie.
He says, don't let me fall.
It's all right. Okay. And, you know, we're very pleased. Okay, there you go. Okay. You all right? Yeah. Hi, guy. Hey, that's it. How are you? Anyway, I hope my dog's not watching. My dog's going to be very, very jealous. But I really thank you both for the service, for the opportunity that you have presented to us. I want to thank you on behalf of all these wonderful people that are out here. We have a lot of moms and dads and seniors that watch the show, and it's a personal thank you that I have from them to both of you, you as a volunteer.
Thank
you as a professional, I would say, that provides this educational partnership at the Humane Society. And again, I say to you folks, you know, this is not meant to be a fundraiser or anything, but you know, do something to help this little guy, or this big guy right here, to give you a lot more in the community, because pet therapy is something of great value to those that are infirmed, those that are ill, and to the little children. Just like the you know, you got grandchildren and otherwise that maybe for some reason have to wear some very significant glasses or whatever, and kids are making fun of them, but meanwhile they learn to read a lot quicker with the availability of these dogs. So let's thank you, Greg Milford. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And Namani Bellavia, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you, Tristan. I know you're just lying there. Thank you, Tristan, and thank you, Oliver. Hey, Oliver, thank you.
Oliver likes to look right in the camera.
Thank you. All right. And folks, thank you very much for putting up with I think, just a very special show. And I hope that we gave you some information. I know this isn't traditional healthcare information, but I think it's good mind and body information. And take heart. This is Fred Lippman. We are coming to you from Nova Southeastern University. This show is still called Dateline Health, and these folks are part of my healthcare team. So we thank you for showing up and allowing us to come into your homes. Until next time, this is Fred Lippman saying, see you.